Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of the Fishing Teacher, and really appreciate you guys coming by the channel to hang out with me a little bit and check the video out. Got a nice little on the water video for you guys today. We're going to be talking about fishing laydowns and the type of laydowns that have what I call complex cover to them, like sort of like a trash pile laydowns where you got different, lots of different limbs coming off of it. Just sort of a type of a deal where the water's been high and it flooded up and water's receded and make these little, gnarly, complex pieces of laydown wood structure. So one of my favorite type of covers to fish for bass. So we're going to give you guys some tips and advice on how to fish that today. Also, guys, just a quick reminder, I'd like to invite everybody, if you haven't had a chance, to please subscribe here to the Fishing Teacher. It's free and easy to do that. All you got to do is hit that subscribe button. And also, anyone out there interested in booking an on-the-water lesson with me, just go to my Facebook page, Randy Blaukat Professional Angler, and shoot me a private message for info there. Get y'all set up with that. Okay, guys, I'm going to turn the camera around here. I got a nice little complex laydown structure here. Gonna talk a little bit about it. So here we go. Okay, guys, here is a perfect example of what I consider sort of just a gnarly, complex log jam or whatever, debris pile, whatever you want to call it. And normally this type of structure is created when the lake is flooded out or the lake's high, and then you get current coming down there, and this type of stuff collects in certain areas. Water goes down, and then you got it, it's good fish habitat. And depending upon the water level that you have here, it's going to be better at certain times. Now, this particular one, guys, water's a little bit low here, but it still serves as a good example, because you can imagine if the water was about another foot or two higher, how good that would be, how much would be in the water. But nevertheless, I can still talk about it here. So here's how you want to fish this. When you approach a structure like this, you got to remember that there's a lot of stuff usually in the water that you can't see. So you got some small limbs coming off it. Sometimes, depending upon the angle of the bank, they could come out 5 or 10 feet. So one of my favorite things to do is I always like to run a crankbait on the outside part of this. I'll cast 5 to 10 feet out from the edge, run a crankbait there, and if there's any brush there, I can feel it. And then if there's brush there, I may throw back in there with a Texas rig or a jig or something like that, but I always start on the outside. Okay, the next thing I do is I want to penetrate the little bit thicker cover. So I'm going to penetrate at this next presentation the deepest visible limbs there. Now you can see on the outside of here, you can see some limbs coming out from this gnarly pile. My favorite technique in a situation like that is going to be flipping a worm or a creature bait or a jig into these little bit limbs that run out a little bit further. I'm going to work that slow and methodically. And then finally, depending upon the water level, I'm going to penetrate the thickest part of the cover. So I'm really starting deep here, moving in a little bit shallower, and trying to cover every single aspect in there, because when you have a piece of cover like this, there's a lot of stuff for the fish to hide in. So just because you put a jig right there and don't get a bite doesn't mean you can't put a jig right there and get a bite. So fish them real slow, real methodically. And also, depending upon the size of these, the bigger the piles are, the more that you have to really, spend time with multiple casts around it. But if you have a small pile, say for example, if the pile was half this big here, a lot of times I'm going to go into the very prime piece of cover, like the thickest piece of cover right off the bat, because there's not as many options out a little bit deeper. Okay, so let's talk about baits here. Okay, guys, let's talk a little bit about baits, techniques that I like to use on this. It's really limited to 2 different lure categories. Most of the time I'm fishing a crankbait on the outside part of it, and sometimes, depending upon the laydown, how it's set up, I'll run a crankbait down the actual log itself. But my favorite is a jig, guys. Like my Blaukat throwback jig here. This is absolutely my favorite lure to be fishing on a log jam. Creature bait works pretty good, but I've just found when you got those complex type of areas there's something about a jig that those fish like a little bit better than even a creature bait. And normally jig color is just going to depend on the water clarity. Some type of brown and orange is really good. If the water visibility is say 2 to 3 feet, if it's less than 2 feet, black and blue is good. And if it happens to be clear, maybe some type of a green pumpkin is going to be good there. But you can't go wrong with like a 1/2 ounce jig, penetrating those type of areas. Now, the thing about it is, like, these type of structures are pretty obvious, so they do get fished quite a bit. So the one thing that you need to remember is when you come up on this type of cover, don't slop through it, because you don't want to get up too close to it. You don't want to get too far. You only got one shot to get those fish to bite on it. So sneak up on these areas. Try to approach them, upwind. A lot of times, I like to fish downwind, but when I'm fishing a specific isolated target like this, I want to go into the wind. So I approach it into the wind, try to keep that trolling motor on really slow and just fish slow and methodical. It's almost like if you guys have crappie fished before, that sometimes you put a crappie jig next to a piece of brush and then you lift it out and put it 6 or 8 inches, farther away from there. Try to sort of do the same thing there, because there's so much cover in those areas under the water that you can't see, that if you're not really thorough with it, you're going to miss that. And a lot of it, you can't really tell how good it's going to be until you get up there, because the accessibility to deeper water is really important. Now, I'm not saying you can't catch them on flat, shallow stuff, but this type of structure is always better if it's on some type of a gradual sloping bank where you got some type of deep water proximity to it, because it allows those fish to quickly move up and down. If you've got a piece of cover like a log jam up on a shallow flat, it takes a lot more effort for those fish to move across that flat and position there. So I always like to find those type of structures, a little bit closer to deep water. It seems it works a little bit better. And another thing with it, it's going to be better on a sunny day. I mean, these type of areas create shade. It creates shade all day long. So the days that are sunny out there is really going to position those fish a lot better than like on a cloudy day. So anyway, guys, don't pass them up, man. You never know when you're going to see one. They come and go based upon the seasons. I mean, that's the great thing about log jams, is there's nothing on a bank in 1 month, and 2 months later there may be log jams all over it. So just keep an eye out for them, because they're a good way to catch some fish there. So I hope it helps out. See you.